I am one of Didi Ma Shivani's disciples, Sadak Devasheesh. I will be reading a few parts written by Didi Ma in this video as well. In this segment, the history of Mira Ji is mostly culled from visions Ma Indira Devi Ji experienced and simultaneously narrated to Dadaji in a semi-trance state. Just a few other sources have been borrowed from as well. We sat listening to Ma in the temple hall with rapt attention. She was recounting a visit from a well-known saint to Pune ashram who followed the path of bhakti or the path of devotion for divine. I remember Ma summed up of the gist of his talk by quoting two lines which he had borrowed from a song of Mirabai. Main giridhar ki, giridhar mere. I belong to the Lord, and the Lord is mine. The Lord will become yours after you become His entirely. Anyone who claims, the Lord is mine because I love Him or I am entirely devoted to Him, is not quite there yet. Once you have given yourself to Him completely, the chances are you will not need to even utter the words, He is mine, because your certitude of His being with you at all times will flow with your every breath. Mirabai was an Indian princess that is an immensely well-known devotee of Sri Krishna. The story goes that a great saint kept having dreams in which Krishna appeared to him and asked him repeatedly to take the idol of Krishna he worshipped to someone named Meera. He searched far and wide and finally approached the palace of the king, Meera's grandfather, who was one of his disciples. Realizing the Meera Krishna was referring to was indeed an 8-year-old princess, the saint presented her with an idol, and leaving his most precious possession with Meera, he gave her the blessing. May the Lord, as your very own, remain with you forever. That night, as the little girl went to bed, she took the idol with her. In the middle of the night, she awoke to see a boy her age staring at her and beckoning her to come play with him. She asked him who he was. The boy introduced himself as Krishna. Over time, many other phenomenal experiences continued to occur between them, and they became the best of friends. Needless to say, the teenage Meera was completely enraptured by Krishna's personality, beauty, and all that he said and did. She remained an undeterred captive of his charm and would be for the rest of her life. Her devotion and love for Krishna is legendary.
Ma Indira Devi Ji is considered the reappearance of Mirabai. At the utterance of such a statement, the man of knowledge frowns and asks, how in the world is it possible for someone like Meera to return? She was so pure, had no desires, ambitions, or karmas left to propel another birth. Why would she need to take another birth? To be clear, we agree. Someone who has attained that level of evolution has no need for taking any new births. However, at the same time, we know that nothing is impossible in this universe. All we have to do is to put aside our preconceived notions, ideas, and prejudices, and in taking a fresh look at the truth, understanding, and walking through the newly uncluttered doorway. Just as worldly people wish to repeat over and over the pleasant experiences that brought them delight, is it not possible for those highly evolved people to want, experience, and recreate their story of blissful divine love again? Beatitude in this play is illimitable. Therefore, if Meera wishes to play, then so does Krishna. Just as Sri Aurobindo has astutely observed, has it not occurred to you that if they really sought for something so cold, dark, and gloomy as the supreme good, they would not be sages but asses?
We already know from our previous videos that a divine spark or portion resides within all of us by the name of psychic being or Antaratman in Sanskrit. This psychic being is the true identity of a human. Besides the physical body, a person has many other subtle bodies, vital, mental, and emotional beings to name a few. After physical death, more often than not, the psychic being of an average soul returns to its own plane of consciousness to rest and assimilate all its earthly experiences and to make preparations for its next incarnation. The rest of the subtle bodies, with the passage of time, disintegrate into astral material. At the time of rebirth, the nature provides the psychic with new subtle bodies based on the karmas and experiences of past lives. In the case of great beings such as Mirabai, her subtle bodies too have been divinized by the blazing light of her psychic being, and we know that anything transformed or touched by divine light becomes imperishable. Hence, her subtle bodies have attained immortality as well. In this immortalized state, these beings may reside in their blissful plane of consciousness indefinitely. Knowing that this is so, the unavoidable question is, how can she take another birth? Please keep in mind, we cannot have hard and fast rules in the spiritual world. There are always exceptions. In cases like this, the nature usually finds another entity suitable for housing the psychic being of someone like Meera. For example, someone who has been an advanced devotee of Krishna for some lifetimes may be chosen to act as a host. By divine grace, this entity may be blessed and be given a wonderful present from the nature and going to be given an offer of attaining the highest by agreeing to lend her karmas and other aspirations of the vital and mental bodies for a great personality like Mira Ji. Even though it is an entirely new person, the true identification of this being is her psychic, and in this case, the psychic of the great Meera. As a result, someone like Ma Indira Devi Ji comes into existence. The true identity of this person is the psychic being of Meera. Therefore, the identity of Meera and Indira Devi is one and the same, except some incidences in Ma's life would be influenced by her past karmas. As soon as the advent of Krishna starts shedding light on the new birth, it will be Meera and Meera manifesting through the body of Indira Devi Ji. I recall asking Ma, why do I at times see a very pretty pink light emanating from her heart region? Could it be the light of her psychic? She seemed pleased to have heard this. Yes, it is so, she answered, and then said, that's why I share things with you, because I know you will understand them right.
To go back to our story, during her meditations, among many other extraordinary experiences, one outstanding experience started to recur in Ma's consciousness. Her pre-yogic life was not geared toward any particular religion. She didn't frequent any temples or gurdwaras, nor did she spend any time pursuing any religious practice. She had started to see repeatedly a lovely woman rapidly singing, and in the last line of the song, the name of the poet used to be Meera. She mentioned it to Dadaji. That's when she came to know facts about the life of Mirabai, a famous devotee of Krishna. Meera had addressed innumerable songs full of love and devotion to her beloved all through her life. They became famous all over India, though she had never cared to write them down. As a result, naturally, they were improvised by all and sundry, losing some of its divine fervor, yet remain the favorites of aspirants in all times and climes. The songs of Mira Ji, finally in its original form, have been noted now and published by Ma and Dadaji. Ma then started to hear song after song in her meditational visions, and amazingly would remember every single word of it correctly later. The lyrics came to her in Hindi, a language she was not versed in. Her schooling was done in English and Urdu, as was the custom at that time. Therefore, Dadaji would have to write them down after Ma's meditation sessions. This phenomenon continued for the rest of her life. More often than not, she would hear the tune of the songs sung by Meera as well. Let's sample a few of these lovely lyrics full of utter love and surrender. Meera has sold herself to Krishna. She became his and his entirely, discarding all the rest. He doesn't care how one looks like, nor does he count virtues one possesses. One's wealth or fame means nothing to him, yet he notices a heart full of love for him. Her beloved finds such love so valuable. He turned himself into a worshipper of love. Meera sold herself to such a lover of love. One day I shall go, one day I shall go to the house of my beloved. Meera asks Krishna, "For how long would you hide from me? I will abolish the apparent duality between us to become one with you. One day the songs of our union will reverberate through the universe." We are in love with you, our sweet beloved. We can't make do without seeing you, as you are the very light of our eyes. We desire nothing, we ask for nothing. We gratefully receive whatever you grant us. Our wish is to love you continually, to love you forever. You may speak with us or not, you are the crux of our existence still. We are in love with you, our sweet beloved.
Mira Ji, when she became of age, was approached by her grandfather to accept a prince as her life partner. She refused. When she brought it up with Krishna later at night, he advised her to accept this proposal. She was heartbroken, yet she obeyed her beloved's advice and she let her grandfather decide things for her. The prince turned out to be an admirer of her devotion and a husband who respected her wishes. After their marriage, he had a temple honoring Krishna built for her, where she would spend most of her time, day in and day out. He had hoped that by fulfilling her desire for worship, he would be able to win her over. It was not to be so. She, as her duty, took immaculate care of his mundane needs, but could never in earnest be his wife, as she considered herself married to Krishna alone. At times, after long meditations, she would open her eyes and find her husband sitting in front of her, gazing longingly at her. She'd ask, "My king, why do you stare at me?" Smilingly he'd answer, "While you were meditating on your god, I was meditating on my goddess."
For as long as he lived, he didn't allow anyone to make Meera's life difficult because of her deep and abiding love for Krishna and saints with whom she spent a great deal of time singing of Krishna. The prince belonged to the warriors' clan, where behavior such as Meera's was taken to be an outright insult of their customs and traditions. Under any other circumstance, the way she acted would be considered unforgivable and punishable. After his departure from this world, the rest of the family did not treat her so generously. They prepared to make her suffer by torturing her and even wanted to kill her by making her drink a potion made from the venom of deadly snake, so that the honor of their clan could be somewhat salvaged. She was presented with a cup full of poison. she thought of her beloved and gulped the poison down. And one of her songs says, Mira, Vish Rana diya man amrit piya, prem pritam ka wo azmane lagi. Her brother-in-law offered her the poison. She drank it as if it was nectar. She was testing the love of her beloved now.
Astoundingly, the poison had no effect, and she remained unharmed. In her new circumstance, Sri Krishna counseled her to leave the palace and all the royal comforts. Instead, in surrender to divine, she must go to Vrindavan, the birthplace of Krishna, to find her guru there. She was confused. Why do I need a Guru Gopal when I have you? He smiled and told her that there are things only a guru can reveal and transform in a human being. He also withdrew his presence for some time now, which was to become the most difficult time in Mira's life. While crossing an entire desert by foot, she lost her consciousness for lack of water, when a little boy appeared with some water to revive her. She muttered, "If you were to walk on Mira's grave, she would know you by your footfall, Gopal."
Ma Indira Devi Ji went through the ecstasy of union and the pain of separation from Krishna exactly like Meera. Once she playfully asked me, "What do you say? Was he ever nice to Meera?" "Ma," I returned, "aren't they all alike?" We laughed in unison. I used to often gaze at Ma's beautiful hands. Having studied some palmistry in my teen years, unconsciously I had developed this habit of glancing at the hands of anyone I met, as it used to give me some idea of the characteristics of that person. But Ma's hands I stared at in wonder because of their unique beauty. I had never come across the likes of them before. Of course, in her grand awareness, she knew about my covert play. One day she suddenly asked, "What is it that you're looking at?" "Ma, your hands are extraordinary," I replied. "Do you know palmistry?" she questioned. "A little," I answered. "Then you must tell me something about me," she said artfully. I accepted the gauntlet and said, "You must have been an extremely sensitive person in your pre-yogic days. Even in your childhood, minor incidences must have pierced your heart deeply." Tell me more." "People with such hands are equated to the flowers meant to be offered only to divine." She changed the topic cleverly and, pointing toward my hands, said, "You yourself have the same type of hands." "I disagree, Ma," emphatically I answered. Later, back home, once when I had a chance to glance at Mira Ji's hands in a vision, I was flabbergasted to note that her hands were the exact replica of Ma's hands I knew so well. The same long fingers, the same shape and size. The patience and capacity to put up with what came her way, and the total acceptance of the divine will with such sincere gratitude you will not find easily elsewhere. In her biography, she has mentioned a beautiful vision experience. In a king's court, there were a number of little girls introducing themselves one by one. The first one said, "I am called Hope, my lord. I am much needed on the earth below." The king granted his permission. "You should go then." And she left, descending to earth. Similarly, compassion, friendship, mercy, sympathy, among many others, made their claims seeking his permission, and once granted, made their descent as well. He noticed one small girl who stood alone in a corner with her head bowed. He asked, "What's your name, child?" She sounded sad when she answered, "Lord, I am called Gratitude. No one needs me on this earth." Should we not pause and find out, why are we like this? Our petty selfishness, desires, and self-fixated ego has rendered us so close to the beauty of gratitude. So often we don't allow it to enter into our being, perhaps because whatever we have or are, we take it for granted or earned by us and consider it a birthright. Then why should we need to feel any gratitude? If we examine this closely, we may realize the case is quite opposite. We get things not because we deserve it. We get them despite ourselves. In all our defiance and earthly ways, it is only by divine grace we have the wonders that we do. Those who understand this truth begin to make room for gratitude in their hearts, hence welcome in humility the shadow of gratitude. Although gratitude being one of the components of the psychic, it emerges automatically from within when one is in touch with the divine spark we all have. Otherwise, in most cases, it remains a mere slogan that gets repeated without any true emotion behind it and has no value. One day, someone was asking question after question to Mom. She answered a few, then suddenly tears welled up in her eyes. She exclaimed, "Dadaji used to warn me many a time, Indira, do pay attention to the knowledge part of the spirituality too." But I'd always say, "Dadaji, I just know love and I have loved Gopal. What else should I need then?" A silence fell into the room. From Denver, I wrote to Ma an utterly meaningful vision I had seen. Mira Ji is with Sri Krishna. For some reason, she becomes sad and a bit upset with him. Says she, "Gopal, you know my friend who is so erudite. Everyone praises her and her knowledge. But look at me. All I did was to call upon you. Learned nothing, mastered nothing, achieved nothing in this world." Gopal, in order to please her, placed his flute at her feet, tried to hug her, but Meera's melancholy was casting a shadow upon them. Then I see a person coming in with a large platter in which there seems to be two flames, one white depicting Meera and one blue denoting Gopal. Krishna says to her, "Look, Meera." From up close, one can see these wondrous flames that seem to be emanating from the platter itself. There is no oil or wick of any kind, just two flames as if emerging from the white silver platter. And then the flames merged into each other. Krishna says, "Did you see that, Meera? You are like this flame. Eons will come and go, but you will be remembered always." Following is a beautiful song dedicated to Ma, sung by her disciples, devotees, translated by Dadaji from Bengali. O daughter of the great land where 5 immemorial rivers meet, O thou beloved of Sri Krishna, where thou wouldest fair the soil is hallowed, kissing thy twin feet. Thou art dedicated heart and soul to the Lord of light and bliss and grace. And so we come to offer thee our pranams, our hymns of reverent tenderness. To thy blue saris hem is tethered, the jewel of jewels we mortals thrill to worship. Hail to thee, who singest the eternal Meera's love to reveal. And so we come to offer thee our pranams, our hymns of reverent tenderness. We bow to thee who hast met the one, whom only the blessed elect attain. So dance dance on his carnival of Ananda, of bliss, whose raptures never can wane. And so we come to offer thee our pranams, O beauteous one, our hymns of reverent tenderness. And so we come to offer thee our pranams, O beauteous one, our hymns of reverent tenderness.